and good morning, everyone. I was just reflecting how fortunate I've been, I think, to have a career mostly working with large organisations, and through such an intense period of change. It's really been the Industrial Revolution on steroids, and it's going to continue. I think as I reflect, and Steve, you just described it as hit and miss decision making, maybe there has been some of that, but when I reflect on the large organisations that I've been involved in, I feel actually really proud to look at them today and think about how they have changed, and really whether it's been a bit of hit and miss, whether it's been a bit of wisdom of crowds, but there has been a lot of intensity of focus in those organisations and thought and placing bets, and some things working and some things not. But yeah, organisations I think like ANZ and Woolworths, I would look and say, have really adapted. Large organisations have adapted to this environment really very well, and I'm very confident they will continue to adapt. It's really interesting being at Coca-Cola Amatil now, where I've been for just over a year, because in some ways you'd think, you know, we're kind of a more traditional business. Our business as the bottler is basically making and selling beverages. We also own SPC, which is a food processing business. So we're in the business of making and selling physical things, things that people consume, things that we haven't got a digital substitute yet for an icy cold Coke or an SPC snack, fruit snack. And I don't think that that's going to happen. So you'd sort of say, well, maybe those sort of industries are more insulated from the change that's going on. Maybe those industries don't need to worry as much. Maybe the imperative for change is not there to the same extent. But actually what I see is it absolutely is, because if you think about it, Coca-Cola Amatil, let's just take brand Coke, which is our flagship brand. Really, what is brand Coke? What is a Coke? And I really wanted to ask, what's that guy's name last night? Tom Thumb? I wanted to ask him to do the noise of opening a Coke and hearing the fizz. Would have been good, wouldn't it? But I thought that might have been a bit corny for you guys, so I spared you that one. But when you have a Coke, when you feel like a Coke, what is a Coke? Well, it's first and foremost, it's refreshment, it's taste. There's a physical need that it meets. There may also be a convenience need or a price need that goes with that determines where you buy it. So whether you buy it on the go because you're really thirsty, whether you want to look great, whether you want to get something that's better value from the supermarket. And there's also a very substantial emotional benefit, of course, that goes with brand Coke, because Coke is a brand that stands for a lot of things. It stands for happiness and fun, uplift, optimism. So you buy a Coke and consume a Coke for a lot of different reasons. And technology is definitely impacting each of those. So I see it in our manufacturing, where we actually make the Coke, the way that we can use technology now to really get real-time monitoring of our lines, to get feedback from around complaints back to the specific line and the specific operators, to plan and to manage our demand and our forecasting with our customers. Plenty of applications that can take out cost and improve accuracy and improve quality. In our sales activity, the impact of technology is huge, and we're now equipping all of our sales reps with iPads and targeted real-time information, so whenever they go into a particular customer outlet, they know exactly what that customer's opportunity is. They can sit down and have a very specific conversation. They can use analogous outlets to explain to that particular outlet how they might improve their profitability around their food and beverage offer. And then, of course, there's the brand itself. And this is probably where I think the impact of technology is most profound. And I think that companies like us are still learning and adapting to this. And this is probably the most important thing for a global brand like the Coke brand. Because we're used to telling people what we want our brand to stand for, giving them the messages. And in this environment, of course, consumers get to decide, and they can tell us what they think, they can tell each other what they think, and that conversation is a conversation that we can no longer control to nearly the same extent, and it can have a huge bearing on our brand. So that, I think, is something that we're just learning. We just had a fantastic campaign over the summer called Colour Your Summer, which we had, I don't know if you saw the little Coke cans, coloured Coke cans. That was, we managed to spend $10 million on that campaign, and it mostly happened on social media because we were targeting teens and young adults who spend 93% of their media time online. So that was a great learning experience for us. But it's kind of scary for a company like us because part of the way it worked was through giving influencers, so YouTube station channel owners, for example, the rights to provide feedback on what we were doing and to reach out and connect with their communities and really put our brand in their hands, which is pretty scary when you look at who they are. You know, most of them are young themselves, and yet they are tremendously influential, and you can't tell them what you want to say, or that just totally undermines what you need to do. So I think there is a lot going on. I know I've got 1 minute left. I'm going to give myself 1 minute because I do just want to tell you the story of SPC. SPC is our food processing business, and it is a wonderful story. It's not a brand. It's a brand that is well known to many Australians and many Victorians, but it's not a brand that sort of spent a lot of money on itself. But it has a personality. It has a special place in our hearts, and we saw that in spades around about 12 or so months ago when SPC, which has been going through a very, very tough time, was under severe threat of closure because it is losing money and was in need of substantial investment. It was very hard to make the case. What happened was this became the subject of a huge social media discussion, and consumers jumped online and really supported SPC, cleared out the shelves in the supermarkets, posted photos of themselves under the hashtag SPC Sunday with their favourite SPC product, and really, really rallied to the cause of SPC, which in turn created a pressure on the government to debate whether or not to provide support and the nature of the support, and we ended up getting the support of the Victorian government, and created a huge pressure on our customers, the retailers as well, who have now jumped in and are supporting SPC and Australian produce in a way that they were actually quite oblivious to before. So really the turnaround of SPC, and it's in a much better place today, I would put down almost entirely to the consumers who were able to use this medium and jump behind this wonderful company and its wonderful brand. I'll finish up there, but the point I really want to leave you with is, first of all, large organisations absolutely can and do and are changing, and even in industries, traditional industries like the industry I work in, it's an absolute imperative. Thank you.